Hey, welcome to the Men's Room. I'm your host, Mark Sparks. On today's show, we're going to talk about becoming a pickup artist and that journey to get there and the commitment that it takes. I'd like to introduce you, Jack Coxwell, man. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Nice to be here, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, your journey's a pretty interesting one. Your road to pickup artistry, if you will.
Well, it kind of started way back in high school. Everyone goes through high school life, and a lot of people aren't the cool kid, but everyone really wants to be the cool kid deep down. I thought I was the cool kid. But I just had one girlfriend all through high school.
Right.
So I had pretty much no experience talking to women, dating women, and the girlfriend I did get was kind of like thrown on to me.
Oh.
It was one of those aggressive girls, you know?
Oh, she chose
Yeah,
you.
she chose me.
Hey.
I didn't do any of the picking in that. So that relationship ended, and I was devastated. I couldn't eat. I went to doctor's appointments. They shoved a camera down my throat, looked around, just to see if I had an ulcer or something.
This is after you broke up with
Yeah,
this
I
girl.
was devastated.
Wow.
Like, your first relationship, first girl you have sex with, you think that you're going to be with them forever.
Right? Yeah, I can feel that.
So that just killed me. And then after that, months later, maybe 6 months later, a friend of mine told me that he found out about the game. So he throws that book written by Neil Strauss down on my lap. I read that, and I was just like, oh my God, there's hope for me.
Life-changing, eh?
I'm going to have sex again. So from there, I tried to implement a few things. Did my first approach at a bar, ended in failure. I think I started like 20 times during the actual pickup, in which they responded with, sorry, we're busy right now. So I didn't really start off being very good at it.
Right.
I was way too nervous, too much anxiety.
Okay.
And I was meeting with my friend one day, and we were just going over pickup. We were just talking about it. He was saying that he wanted to really get into it and be serious about it. And I said, you know what, dude, why don't we make a website where it documents two guys from, zero to hero.
So you guys just came up with this?
Yeah, I just came up with it.
Sitting around like, hey,
I didn't think he was going to buy it.
Okay. So you're just throwing it out there, and then he bites. He's like, cool, let's do this.
Yeah, he's like, cool, let's do this. And we just followed each other around a mall for the first video.
Yeah, and you just carried a camera around the mall while, you talk to girls?
Talking to girls, yeah. I was nervous as hell.
Right.
Because now there's a camera watching me, and there's going to be people watching that after, so I'm like, oh shit, now I got to really perform. And I had never, when we started the site, I never had a number closed, I never had a successful pickup in my life.
Like, how were you going about picking up people?
We had read one of the methods, and so we were following that.
Okay.
It gave us like a checklist that had to be fulfilled in order to land the girl.
So you start doing this thing, and what starts to happen to you? What do you see changing as you go on?
In the beginning, I felt no change. After I did the approaches, I didn't think it was getting any better or any worse. I felt exactly the same. And about a month after I made the first episode, we went out to a club. It's weird, they say that sometimes things have to build up slowly till you feel changes.
Sure.
When you're learning this, I guess they call it an art form of becoming better socially, it doesn't build up slowly. It just clicks. I went to this club, and everyone I was talking to was responding well. Everyone was talking to me. People were opening me. I had girls buying me drinks. And it was just crazy. And it just clicked. After that night, one part of the puzzle fit. So after that, things started to become a little bit easier.
So what was that one piece that at the club that night? How did it fit?
The biggest thing probably that night was I stopped caring. In the beginning, I felt really self-conscious. I was up in my head. For the first hour, I didn't talk to anybody. And I just felt like, oh, there's no way I'm going to talk to someone. It's too loud. The music, they won't hear me. And so we went on the patio, and I was like, oh, this is okay. And I just thought, you know what? Screw all these opening lines I know. I'm just gonna say whatever comes to the top of my head. And I just started saying things that I was thinking at the time. And when I started doing that, the girls were just opening and being happy, talking to me. And when I realized that I didn't have to, memorize all this stuff, and I didn't have to overload my mind with all this knowledge in order to become good with women, it was just such a relief. That's probably the biggest thing that clicked for me. And when I finally relaxed and I got out of my head, I wasn't as reactive. And in a conversation, whoever's the most non-reactive usually controls the frame and has the power.
That's a cool point. You were talking about being in your head. What was your headspace like, kind of that before spot and then that after spot?
What's the best example? My headspace was like, oh my God, 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 oh my God. The fuck am I gonna do?
And then you got to the point where you're sitting on the patio and
we went to the patio, and the music was just scaring the shit out of me. I was just, all I could think about was, in order to start a conversation, I'm gonna have to get really close to her and lean in, because I can't project my voice like some people can. When I'm in a club, no one can hear me unless I lean in. And I remember reading in the book, it said, never lean in. If you lean in, it's bad. She's going to ignore you. So I couldn't figure out how I was going to get around the voice thing, and it was just making me so nervous because I didn't think they'd hear me. And I didn't want to have to shout, and I had done it before, and I'd be repeating myself, and I didn't want to go through that again. Mm-hmm. So that just created this big chain reaction, and I was just stuck in my head, and I couldn't figure out how to get over it. But the patio cured that.
Right. So you go through that night, one of the pieces fit, boom, you stop caring a little bit, you kind of stop, thinking all that, the bad stuff, and just kind of go for it.
Yeah.
And then, so continue on your journey, man, because I guess that's like halfway point.
That was the beginning. That was the first episode.
See?
Yeah. But then I still felt anxious. I realized, you know what? I'm going to take this one step at a time. First step is to feel comfortable talking to people that I don't know, and to feel comfortable with the fact that they just might laugh in my face or reject me. I have to be okay with that. I have to be willing to accept that as a possible outcome. And I thought, how can I get over this as quickly as possible? And I thought, what usually happens when I go out? And I remembered I usually take about an hour until I start opening my mouth. It takes a long time, and then during that hour I build up nervousness. So I figured out the only way to get by this is to literally throw myself in the fire. So I got my friend to get a stopwatch, and he started a timer, and I said, okay, I've got 10 minutes. In these 10 minutes, I'm going to open up 9 sets, or 9 groups of girls. I'm not going to try to close them. Yeah, I'm just going to go up and try to talk to anyone I can. Doesn't matter what they look like, but I have 10 minutes to do this. I just run around and I start saying hello to people, I start conversations. One girl, I remember the conversation was really well. Like, she was hooked and she wanted to keep talking to me. And I was like, sorry, I got to go. My timer is ticking. I can't keep this going anymore.
I like that. So you put these self-imposed challenges on you.
Yeah, challenges and disciplines I put against myself. I knew that my comfort zone was bad. Mm-hmm. I knew as long as I stayed in my comfort zone, I was going to stay the same person. I wasn't going to improve my life.
Right.
So the first thing that has to go is the comfort zone.
So then what was next?
I was more comfortable approaching them, more comfortable starting the conversation, but I felt nervous as hell ending it. I had never asked a girl for a number in my life, so I had no idea how to go about saying, I like you to someone. I'm very sarcastic.
Okay.
So I was being sarcastically funny with them, and it was building some attraction, but I was never directly expressing, I'm coming over to talk to you because I like you.
Right.
And that was just like, ugh.
Well, that's a hard thing to broach, right? I mean, it's easier to just talk to somebody randomly.
Yeah.
But then to put yourself, because you're not really putting yourself out there at that point. Like you are, but then you get to that next step and it's like, okay, now I got to put myself on that line. And
yeah, now I got to go on the little, on this line now I got to go to this line.
Yeah, like I'm on the big branch. Yeah. Now I got to go step out,
I got to step on the twigs.
Yeah.
Right, it's going to crack.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you get to that now and you have to go and learn to close.
Yeah, now I have to learn to close. Mm-hmm. I never personally felt like with any of the girls I was talking to that I got to like a point where I could close it. Like I felt like I was ending the conversation too soon, or it never felt comfortable closing. And the truth is there's no possible way in the beginning to feel comfortable closing. You could be talking to her for like 20 minutes. You're still going to come up with an excuse in your head why not to ask for the number.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I just went for it one day. The conversation was ending, and I just said to myself, like, it hit the awkward silence, and I just thought, just do it. And I asked, and she gave me her number. And I was like, yes, it's done. And that just broke the ice. From then on, I closed them. Every time I talk to someone, I'm going to close them no matter what. Even if it's going shitty, I'm going to still say, you know what, you're kind of cute. That's the only reason I came and talked to you, so give me your number and I'll give you a call.
And what if she says no?
I haven't got a no yet.
Word.
I don't know if that's like surprising, but I have not been rejected for a number close yet. And they're not fake numbers. I text them like a few hours later and they'll respond to the text. So it's been working pretty great for me.
You're doing well. And you've come from a place where you weren't doing well.
Right.
So what are you seeing that you're using? Like, what are your techniques? What do you do?
My consistency came from a really strong foundation that I built. Okay. And like I was saying before, I started that foundation by first taking it one piece at a time. If you're going to clean a house, you're going to clean the house faster if you start with one section and keep going throughout. Mm-hmm. Anything in life.
Right.
The more scattered you are, the longer it's going to take you to finish the job. So start with the first problem. And everyone's first problem is always going to be their anxiety. So what you want to do is you want to first destroy that anxiety. A lot of people have trouble just saying hi to a stranger. if you're walking in a mall and here's the stranger coming, you're about to say hi, and the little voice in your head goes, and they pass by. Can't do it. So if you can't even do that, and no matter what you do, you can't get the energy just to say hi, when you're driving in your car, stare at people. You're in a car. What's the worst that can happen? You can just drive away. They can drive away. Stare at them. And don't look away until they either give you the middle finger or they look away. You want to smile, though. I haven't got a middle finger yet, but you want to smile.
I might get
and eventually push it. You know, stare at them, smile. And guy or girl, I don't care if you're homophobe, wink at them. Yeah, just start doing that. Just that little bit of getting outside of your comfort zone is going to make you feel even more comfortable now saying hi to someone. So now, okay, let's say you're doing that, and you feel comfortable smiling and winking at people while you're driving, or even just looking at them, okay? Now, when you're in a mall or when you're on the street, just smile and look like you're having the best day of your life, even if you feel like shit. And when someone walks by, guy, girl, old lady, I don't care, just say hi, okay? And the next step is you say, hey. When they say hey back, how's it going? And they will stop. They always stop. Even if sometimes what happens is you're like this, and you say, how's it going? Then they'll stop, they'll turn around and be like, oh, good. And they'll still be walking a bit.
Yeah.
But then if you transition into something like, oh, it's great weather, they're literally going to stop. And now you've opened a set. There you go. Now you've started a conversation. It's that easy. Take it one step at a time. Get over the anxiety. Good. What do you feel uncomfortable with next? Think about it. I really don't know what to say to girls. Okay, I open them. I say, hey, I like your purse. And then I don't know what to say. Everyone always says, become an interesting person. Well, how do I actually become an interesting person? I mean, all I do is play World of Warcraft online, and girls don't give a shit about World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So what the fuck am I going to do to be interesting?
Right.
Well, people usually say, find interesting hobbies so you have something interesting to talk about. And sure, that works. You can find interesting hobbies. You can maybe go rock climbing, and then you'll have something interesting like rock climbing to talk about. But I don't believe in this really very much. I really don't think it matters if you're interesting when you're trying to pick up a girl. I mean, it matters, but it's not a deal breaker. You don't have to be interesting to get a girl and to get her attracted to you.
Okay.
Okay? You just have to be witty. And being witty and interesting are two different things.
Explain that.
Okay? If you want to be witty, I know this sounds stupid and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense, but I became really witty just by going out there and just talking. The more you talk and the more you start feeling comfortable in a social interaction, you will naturally become more witty. In the beginning, I really had no idea what to talk about that was interesting the least bit. So I would open up and I would talk to them about how I just approached a girl and got rejected. And that's what I would talk about. I had nothing else to talk about, but I did it in a kind of sarcastic, witty way. And by witty, I just mean being able to think on your feet.
Right.
A really great way to learn how to be witty and think on your feet is take improv classes. Better than finding an interesting hobby, take improv. Like I used to do, probably why I'm okay at talking to people now is because when I was younger, I was huge into acting.
Right.
Like I've probably taken over 8 acting classes in my life, and I took a lot of improv. So that improv really, really helps.
Right.
Because you never hear a girl say, oh, I want a really interesting guy. You know, the interesting guys that have shitloads of stuff to talk about are usually the guys who end up their friends anyway. But the witty guy who knows how to, react in a conversation, have the comebacks, he's the guy that you always see the girls with.
Let's talk about that building comfort.
That's what it sounds like. It's just getting to know each other. When you start building comfort with someone, you don't want to have a game face on. Girls are super sensitive, and they can tell when you're being genuine or not.
Right.
And the whole thing about building comfort, that's when you get to be yourself. That's when you get to relax and, oh, okay, I opened her, she's attracted to me. Now I can feel comfortable talking about myself without trying to sound better than I may not be. At that point, if she doesn't like you for who you actually are, then it wasn't worth it anyway. Because if you fake your comfort with a girl, like if you make up stories about yourself or it's not true, she'll find out. Comfort isn't something you necessarily have to build within your first interaction. All you need in the beginning is that attraction. You just need them to feel like, whoa, that guy was different, or, that made my day. Like every girl, no matter what she says, she's out there, she's looking for her Prince Charming. Just like we're looking for a supermodel, she's looking for that one guy that breaks the mold. So when you approach her totally randomly in the daytime, and you're genuine about your approach, and you seriously like the girl, you probably just made her day. You're probably the only guy who approached her that day. So she's going to remember that. So it's not as important to stay in the conversation. You can literally just get in, say you have to go and then get out and then call her later because she's going to remember you. She'll remember that. And some of the methods say you have to do everything all at once. This is true for nighttime. At nighttime, if you just say, hey, you're hot, and then get the number and leave, she's not going to remember you because she had like 20 other guys saying, hey, you're hot that night. But in the daytime, you can just run in there and say, hey, you know what, I thought you were cute, blah, 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 and then run out. To be able to get good at this, you have to be able to pick up in the night and the day. Because day game versus night game is like night and day. It's totally different. It's a different scenario.
Right. What's the difference you take into your day pickups and your night pickups?
At nighttime, everyone's really hyped. Their energy levels are huge. Okay, everyone's energy's up. They're dancing. They're drunk. They're drinking. In the daytime, people have a said thing that they have to do. If they're on the street, they're going somewhere. They're not just on the street to be on the street, like they're in a bar to be in a bar. They're going somewhere. So when you interrupt their thought process of them going somewhere, they're going to want to leave faster. At nighttime, when they're in a bar, they're not going to want to end the conversation as quickly as in the day. So that's the biggest difference, is the fact that they're going somewhere and they actually have stuff to do.
Right.
And their energy's lower because they're not in an environment that like hypes them up. If you approach calmly a girl in a bar, like with a little smile, and you just start a really relaxing conversation, she's she's gone.
Right.
In the daytime, if you come up to a girl and you're like, hey, all hyped up, she's gonna be like, who's this fucking psycho?
Why are you on drugs?
Oh yeah.
So that talks about kind of assessing your environment, assessing your situation, and kind of reacting appropriately.
Right.
That's
through experience. You learn that just through going through the motions.
Trying to dance with a girl on the sidewalk's probably not.
Hey, you know what? It might work. I can't say it won't work. It would be funny. I should try it. But
And now you go into seduction.
What you're doing right now is you're going through the models that I talked about.
For sure.
This is a method.
For sure.
Attract, comfort, seduce.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in that stuff anymore. I believe that you need to get them attractive initially, and that you do have to make them comfortable. But it doesn't always have to happen in that order. Like everyone makes a big statement that if you don't do it in this order, let's say if you attract, seduce, and then go for comfort, she's going to think you're a player. It doesn't always happen. You can attract a girl, know nothing about her, fuck the shit out of her, and then get to know her. It happens all the time. So the model doesn't necessarily have to be played exactly as it is. Like there's a lot of people who have started their relationships just a random night. They met someone. They didn't have time to feel comfortable with each other, and afterwards they got to that. The biggest factor, whether you can do that or not, like whether you can skip a step, it really all depends on your passive value.
It all depends on your
passive value, for example, would be how much room you have for error. Okay, so the better looking you are, let's say you're a computer nerd. I love going with that one. Your room for error is like very thin. Now let's say you're really good looking. You just don't know how to talk to girls. Room for error grows. Let's say you've got a fit body. Room for error grows. That's your passive value. The more passive value you have, the more you can get around stuff. Because if someone doesn't have a lot of passive value, they can't really get around the rules very much. And there are some rules to social interactions.
Right.
Like
which is just
the method, the one thing that the methods are huge on that actually makes perfect sense in the method are those rules. Attract, comfort, seduce. Like that is huge. But with passive value, you can skip some steps, is all I'm saying.
At the end of the day, you consider yourself a pickup artist?
I don't like using the word pickup artist, though. Because people, like my website is like, the road to be a pickup artist. But people hear pickup artist and they relate it to a guy who's just like a player who just like doesn't care about women. Because I'd say that I'm good at picking up girls. You could call me a pickup artist, but I really do love women. And I'm a really sensitive person, and I'm not just about taking advantage of people or anything like that. I usually won't sleep with a girl unless I have some kind of emotional connection with her. And I'm usually upfront with everyone. I tell every girl, listen, I don't believe in monogamy. I don't think we're meant to be monogamous. So if you're going to be with me, it's going to be in a total open context.
And you're straight with that from the get-go?
Straight. Sometimes I'll say it right in the beginning, right in the first conversation. I'm straight with that.
So where do you go from here?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not done the journey yet, and I want to be able to help other people get over their fears and overcome this problem in their life as quickly as possible. So I want to, like everyone does, I guess, I just want to be able to teach people what I know. And I want to see them succeed through my assistance.
definite pleasure to have you in the men's room. And
It was great
actual
being
journey.
by these urinals over here.
It smells fresh.
It does. You must have cleaned them yourself.
They put me to work in here, man. They put me to work. Jack, thanks a lot, man, for coming on to the show. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, man. It's great.
Without a doubt. All right, guys, here's what we can take away from Jack. 1, stop caring what people think about you. Believe in yourself and what you're doing. Eventually, everything that you're learning and practicing will just click. 2nd, you don't have to memorize a ton of material to be good with women. Sometimes it's just best to say whatever comes to your head. Stay relaxed and get control of the negative voice inside your head telling you can't do it. 3rd, when talking to a woman, take things one step at a time and get comfortable talking to strangers anywhere you are in order to expand your comfort zone. 4th, become non-reactive and control the frame by expecting her tests and be able to deal with them in a fun and witty way. 5th, remember every girl's looking for her Prince Charming, so don't be afraid to break the mold and be genuine. Show her you're a cool guy and demonstrate passive value by having something interesting to talk about. Remember, there's no such thing as failures, only opportunities to learn. And in life, class is always in session. I'm your host, Mark Sparks. See you next time in the men's room.